That time in the night say, smartphone for the dumb bread. Clip full of the bad bitch in the bed frame. Okay, same one for the break hang. Mindset on the next move. No time for the head game. Kush pack in the backpack. That time in the night say, smartphone for the dumb bread. Clip full of the bad bitch in the bed frame. Same one for the break hang. Yes, and I say for the next move. Time for the head game. I'm a player, you a player. Raised like Cherokee, so much that I might need a parody. Smoke dope and I might need therapy. I be fly than a bitch, young parakeet. Apparently these niggas don't know who I be. Last time I came to the show, see paid at the door, and I slid in no ID. You ain't cold like me. Oh, you see that name, man? Prime time shit like Dion. Niggas ain't peas, they peons. Hit it in the bed, bad beyond. Neck on froze on free on. I ain't gotta tell her that we on. Shawty know she need me a win. Top down on the coast, got a wind chill. Bottom grill, big fur, nigga chinchill. Tell him simmer down, sit still. Switch flow like knobs on the phone. Tell him I need up for the week shit. Probably off for a week shit. With a queen at the crib, got it looking like freak Nick. My flight by the head from the runway. It's noon, getting head on a Monday. Sunbathe on the beach on a Sunday. Niggas still getting paid from the one play. Pulled up in the what you call it, eating on that, can't pronounce it. They seen I ain't announced it. Doing numbers like 8 accountants. Ducked off by the lake and mountains. Might make it sound like nap time in the knapsack. Smartphone for the dumb bread. Clips full of the bag. Bad bitch in the bed frame. Okay, same one for the break hang. Mindset on the next move. No time for the head game. Kush pack in the backpack. Nap time in the knapsack. Smartphone for the dumb bread. Clip full of the bad bitch in the bed frame. Okay, same one for the break hang. Yes, mindset for the next move. No time for the head game. I'm a vibe, I'm a trip, I'm a journey. I'm a dog at the game in the gurney. Yo, bitch probably came with the scurvy. She be playing more games than attorney. Turn up, turn wheel on the yacht deck. Cold drink, hardwood in a hot neck. Grotesque protest when I shop wreck. Gotta now give a fuck who got next. A good tall glass of the Merlot. Pin gang got the cash on turbo. Teed up with the iron like Top Golf. New whip with the top piece chopped off. Off work I came to play. 2 blunts tall Tanqueray. Don't simp get paid today. That hate can't make a stay. Out west where the Lakers stay. And I'm still up getting to the bread like aisle 3. If it ain't about that, don't dial me. Put a little right in your act, baby. Do it for your bread and your black babies. Nigga don't flex, just build muscle. I'm up, I still hustle. So ball game like Bill. Wrestle rap game on Chris. Nigga wanna switch walls, give a fuck what a bitch call it. No shit for the faint of heart. Get rich, nigga, play your part. 5 bands, 2 days apart. This shit like ancient art. And I'm still in the hood like an engine. Slide 4 deep, done division. Poppin' my shit for the pension. Pretty little freak in the mentions. Checking her physique in dimensions. Let a nigga peep your position. In the backpack. Nap time in the knapsack. Smartphone for the dumb bread. Clips full of the bag. Bad bitch in the bed frame. Okay, same one for the break hang. Mindset on the next move. No time for the head game. Kush pack in the backpack. Nap time in the knapsack. Smartphone for the dumb bread. Clip full of the bad bitch in the bed frame. Okay, same one for the break hang. Yes, mindset for the next move. No time for the head game.
Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right, so shout out to everybody who is in the room. I hope that everybody is having a happy Sunday. All right, I appreciate each and every one of you guys for being here. Thank you so much. If you guys can hear me okay, give me a thumbs up or a radiation emoji in the chat. If you guys cannot hear me or it looks weird on the screen, then give me a thumbs down. And while you guys are doing that, I'm going to shout out all of the wonderful people in the building. All right. So shout out to my man AB Promotions off the rip. Throw some flames in the chat, because y'all putting in the radiation emoji and the thumbs up for the sound check. But throw some flames in the chat for my man AB Promotion with the ducats for a player. Definitely appreciate you, bro. Shout out to Denise Scales, B1. What's good with it, Denise? We got Antithesis in the building, B1. Shout out to you. We got Mimi McCoy in the building, B1. Shout out to you. We got Jacoby Demisi. Hopefully I said that correctly. Jacoby Demisi, B1. Good to see you, bro. We got my man DC Precise in the building. Shout out to DC Precise. We got Lloyd Sky 9 in the house. We got Black Spider in the building. And that's it. All right. So shout out to everybody. It is good to see you guys. All right. So what we're going to talk about today is a Canadian entertainer. And it's not going to be Abba and Preach this time. Not going to be Drake. It's going to be an individual named Buffy Sainte-Marie. Shout out to Torian Rain. What's good with it, bro? My question for you all is, how many people know about Buffy Sainte-Marie, and how many people know what the situation is for Buffy Sainte-Marie? Buffy Sainte-Marie is actually dealing with the kind of situation that many people like Buffy Sainte-Marie put themselves in, but it's not something that's very talked about, because I mean, it's got to be embarrassing. Shout out to Rafael Poela. Actually, Buffy Santa Maria. Oh yeah, Santa Maria. That would, yeah, absolutely. That's actually said that would translate into Saint Marie, right? That's the same thing. Santa and Saint, and then Marie, Maria, Mario, same thing, right? Just double checking. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, never heard of her. Now, here's a question for you guys. How many people have heard of Rachel Dolezal? If you ever heard of Rachel Dolezal, give me a thumbs up. If you guys have not heard of Rachel Dolezal, then give me a thumbs down. I'm pretty sure everybody knows who Rachel Dolezal is. She's everybody's favorite white woman, right? Now, here's another question that I have for everybody. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I'm the first person that came up with this term. You know what I'm saying? I was using this term a while ago on my channel. Shout out to the Legacy channel subscribers like More Math, U Law, DJ Elmo. You know what I'm saying? Jet Black. Shout out to y'all. They know. They saw some of the old videos. I use a term called transracial. And that term has actually been thrown around now very frequently, so much to the point where it's used so much, I don't know if I'm the originator of that term or not. But I coined this term, to my knowledge, to the best of my knowledge, called transracial. Now, just from that being a compound word, my question for you guys in the comment section is, what would the word transracial mean? What would that mean? Somebody give me a definition of what you think the word transracial means. Now, there's also other situations, right? There's situations like what occurred with the Dawes Act. There's situations of what occurred with things like, quote unquote, Hebrews to Negroes, right? Many people, quote unquote, have what we're called identity issues, right? Many of us have, quote unquote, identity issues as well. However, the identity issues that we have in most cases are a result, right? They're a result, for the most part, of anti-Black racism, right? They're also the result of things like the transatlantic slave trade, indigenous massacres, New Zealand and Australia, right? Yeah, facts. Transracial. It means to change race, what race you identify as, right? That's the way that I was using that term when I put the term together. Switching racial identity. Now, YouTube Manual Reviewer, we're talking about this term for historical context, education, news report, and commentary. Shout out to my man TD Hip Hop Media. A couple years ago, he did a video. I think it was a video. It might have been a stream. And the stream that he did was about the quote-unquote Dawes Act. Now, let me ask you all, what term became popularized out of the Dawes Act? Does anybody know? If you know, type it in the comment section. Okay? And also, real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to everybody. We got 21 people watching and we got 19 likes. If we can get those likes up to 30, that'd be excellent. What term came from the Dawes Act? There's a specific term and a specific reason why that term came from the Dawes Act. Like I said, shout out to TD Hip Hop Media. TD Hip Hop Media did a video about it. Shout out to my man RJ Quick. $5 Indian. Now, why did that term come about? What does that term mean? How did it originate? It originated because part of the terms of the quote-unquote Dawes Act were to quote-unquote prove that you were quote-unquote affiliated with particular Indian, Native Indigenous, I should say, tribes, right? And as a result, there was a quote-unquote land buyback. A land buyback, mind you, from people that stole the land, right? Interestingly, the people that stole the land assumed the identities of those particular people who were supposed to be offered the premium, because you can't really say selling stolen land back is at a discount. And they sold these plots of land for $5 a pop. So there's a lot of people that look like Cameron Diaz who claim that they have a Chief Blackfoot in their family. Like literally like last generation. You know what I'm saying? As a result of that particular transaction, the term $5 Indian came to be. They said $5 Indian because those people, quote unquote, became Indian for a price, a transactional price of $5 to get that land discount. What does Buffy Sainte-Marie have to do with that? Buffy Sainte-Marie has had some conflict with her identity as of late. Okay? And we're going to go through it. We're going to talk about it. Okay? What to know about the quote-unquote fake identity claims surrounding Canadian singer Buffy Sainte-Marie. Now, let me ask you guys this. What would be the benefit in coming up with a quote-unquote fake identity? Make it make sense. What was the name of that Asian individual, the Indian guy from India, who quote-unquote transracialized himself into a black person to go to medical school? You guys remember? Now, there was a movie that came out about Daphne from Scooby-Doo where they turned Daphne into an Asian girl, and I believe the woman's name is Mindy something. It was her brother that did this. People have been doing this all the time. Chameleon work. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Carlton Way. Shout out to Cameron Jones. Okay? What to know about the fake identity claims surrounding Canadian singer Buffy Sainte-Marie. Why is this important? It's very important. People who do stuff like this can be very dangerous. They can cause a lot of problems. Mindy King. Everybody drop some radiation emoji in the chat for Torian. Mindy Kaling, I should say. Kaling, not King. Mindy Kaling. Dude blamed it on affirmative action. Yeah, facts. Which is interesting because what he should have done is turned himself into a white woman if he wanted the best benefits, because we all know who affirmative action benefits the most, right? Oscar-winning folk singer Buffy Sainte-Marie is among Canada's most celebrated Indigenous icon. Her 60-year-long career coincided with singers such as Bob Dylan and Joni Mitchell and earned her Canada's highest civilian honor. However, the 82-year-old Indigenous origins have come under scrutiny after an extensive Canadian Broadcasting Corporation investigation exposed a series of apparent fabrications about her life and about her identity. Now, My question is, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Shout out to my man Win Loser Rug for being a like enforcer. And shout out to Denise for being a bot enforcer. The CBC's investigation into Sainte-Marie was published and aired late last month, revealing a string of puzzling contradictions and questions about her family and ethnicity. Here's what to know about the controversy. Now, this is what I want to ask you guys, because let me ask you all this. Do you all think that it's important to be able to pick people out who do stuff like this? If you guys think that this is an important skill to have, to be able to pick people out who do stuff like this, give me a thumbs up. If it's not so important and, it's something that we can let pass and, maybe I just need to end the stream right now because it's not that deep, then, give me a thumbs down. Claims of adoption appear untrue. Now, why do I think that this is important? I think that this is important because this is the exact same thing that the Democrat Party did with Barack Obama, Elizabeth Warren, and Kamala Harris. So, yeah, I think it's important. I think people should be who they are. I don't think you should assume a false identity. There's enough of us who wish that we had clarity on our identities. If you do have clarity on your identity and you choose to be somebody else, shame on you. You know what I'm saying? Sainte-Marie has long claimed that she was born on the Piapot First Nation Reserve in Saskatchewan, Canada, and then adopted a baby by a white American couple who adopted as a baby by a white American couple who raised her near Boston. I was told that I was adopted. I was told that I was just born on the wrong side of the blanket. In other words, one of my parents was my parent and one wasn't. I was told that we were quote unquote part Indian, but nobody knew anything about it. She is quoted as saying in her 2018 biography. However, CBC News tracked down her birth certificate, stating that Sainte-Marie was born in Beverly Jean Santa Maria Hospital at Stoneham, Massachusetts on February 20th in 1941 to Albert and Winifred Santa Maria, who were half Italian and half English ancestry. So, Rutro, what does that mean? We're starting off bad. We're starting off really bad here. She had claimed the couple adopted her during the 60s scoop, a period between the 1950s and the 1980s during which thousands of indigenous children were put up for adoption. However, the program started years after her birth. So if you were born in 1941, how do you get adopted during the 60s scoop? Because if you were born in 1941, in the 50s through 80s, at the least, she would be what? She'd be what, 9 years old here, right? And then 19 years old here. So anytime between 1950 and 1978 would probably be the viable years of when she could have possibly been adopted. Yeah, I gotta agree. Rafael Poella says she's a colonizer from the Roman stock. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. Same thing with John Guillory. Then that means that she is not Indian then. Yeah, facts. CBC News reported that Sainte-Marie told an interviewer in 2017 that she had been unable to locate her birth certificate because 6 years of birth records were destroyed at the hospital that would have been servicing Piapot Reserve at the time of her birth in 1941. Saskatchewan's Ministry of Social Services told the outlet that birth records of individuals adopted as children at the time are easily accessible. So now here's the problem, right? We got a lot of contradictions. Here. My question to you all is she lying? Shout out to Val. What's good with it, Val? Is she lying? Sainte-Marie's family maintains that she's Caucasian. So now she's having the Rachel Dolezal issue. Because her family is saying, man, don't listen to her. She a white girl. Her family said that. You know what I'm saying? As you guys can see here, her family is the one who said that. Multiple relatives of Sainte-Marie have publicly stated that the singer is white, including her older brother, Alan Sainte-Marie, as well as his daughter, Heidi Sainte-Marie. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Who's lying, her or her family? Now, if you ask me, one thing that they could possibly do if they really wanted to nail this down is do a DNA test of everybody who's part of her family, including her. If her DNA matches the family, well, then the family's telling the truth. If everybody has the same DNA, except for Buffy, well, then that means that Buffy's more than likely telling the truth. Right? So this is pretty easy to solve. Like, we're not doing rocket science level problem solving here. You know what I'm saying? CBC News reported that Alan Sainte-Marie composed several letters to newspapers during the early 1970s that seemed to counter claims that his sister was indigenous. Okay? Buffy Sainte-Marie was not born on a reservation. She was born of Caucasian parents in Stoneham, Massachusetts. He wrote to the Denver Post in May of 1972. To associate her with the Indian and to accept her as his spokesman is wrong. That's interesting. What do you all think about that statement? That's an interesting statement. I think it's a profound statement. I think it's a statement that people should examine it. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a statement that people could possibly apply to many situations that we have going on in politics. You know what I'm saying? Heidi Sainte-Marie told CBC News that her father had received letters from his sister and a high-powered Los Angeles attorney that threatened to take legal action should the family continue to publicly challenge the singer's ancestry. Buffy Sainte-Marie said that in her 20s, she was adopted by a Cree couple who regarded her as, quote-unquote, their own. Why would you get adopted in your 20s? How many have you guys ever heard of anybody in their 20s getting adopted? And that's one of the reasons why I'm bringing this up, Eddie. Shout out to Eddie. If you guys agree with Eddie, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree with Eddie, give me a thumbs down. You will see a whole lot of these Dawes Act when the FBA get reparations. Facts. And that's one of the reasons why, if you ask me, it's so important for identification. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says her lawyer told CBS that she is entitled to a reasonable expectation of privacy about her personal genealogical and family history. What about it? What about her ethics? Is she entitled to be honest and forthcoming about her genealogical and family history? Or is it just acceptable for her to make up lies to advance her career or to advance her position, or to advance politically? Is that okay? Descendants of her adoptive Cree family told the outlet, "We chose her and she chose us," adding, "Canada does not get to determine who we claim as family, and neither does the media." Now, here's my question. What does that have to do with DNA? Let me ask you guys this. If you were adopted by a white family, are you able to just go around and tell everybody that you're white? They'll put a stop to that real quick, right? Like that other Canadian said, that'll go from 0 to 60 real quick, right? So how's that work? So now they bring this up here, this part right here. It says she's the latest notable person accused of lying about her identity. Now, let me ask you guys a question in the comment section. Shout out to Jet Black. If you all can think of any people, period, who have lied about their identity and it's been scrutinized publicly, I need you guys to drop all of those names into the comment section. Okay. Sainte-Marie is the latest notable figure whose racial and ethnic identity has been called into question or revealed to be made up. So here we go. Now we're about to talk about the OG transracial, Rachel Dolezal. In 2015, Rachel Dolezal, then president of the NAACP chapter in Spokane, Washington, made headlines after her parents publicly said that she was pretending to be black, but in fact born white. A documentary on her life, The Rachel Divide, was later released on Netflix. Now, here's my question. Why did she get a documentary? Why was she given a documentary? Shout out to Patricia Slade. What's good with it? Why would Rachel Dolezal get a documentary? How much money do you guys think that she made off of that documentary? You guys think that she made out pretty good? How many people watched it? That's literally getting rewarded for bad behavior. Yeah, and then I totally forgot she had the I did a video on her. Y'all know I'd be hitting up them OnlyFans girls. I forgot that she was on OnlyFans. I forgot about that. Rachel was on OnlyFans. She sure was. Somebody had put the OnlyFans account out there. That's wild, man. She was part of the NAACP. You know what I'm saying? Following her death in October of 2022, actress and Native American civil rights activist Maria Louise Cruz, better known as Shasheen Littlefeather, was accused by her sisters of lying about her indigenous ancestry. And in March, a watchdog group called Tribal Alliance Against Frauds alleged that indie film producer Heather Ray was a quote-unquote pretendian who for years had been falsely posing as indigenous. How many people have heard about any of these people here? Yeah, Elizabeth Warren, facts. Yeah, exactly. One person that pretended to be black got to go to medical school and the other one got a documentary. What about those of us who are actually black? What do we get? Deleted by the police. Ray told the Hollywood Reporter, responding to the allegations, that she only recently started to look into my family's history in a deeper way, adding, "So for several years, I have identified as an ally." So now here we go. Here we go with the trans talk. I identified as. I identified as. I identified as you guys will, if you don't know already, will soon come to find out in the future. I identified as is a very problematic claim. It's a very problematic loophole, into actual existence, into actual reality, if you ask me. And real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate everybody that's here. If you guys haven't smashed the like button, please take a moment. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit the bell, please take a moment. Make sure you all hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. All right. Now, how many people heard about this story before today is my question, because this is Canadian news. This is something from Canada. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't expect people to know too much about this. But I thought it was pretty interesting, though. And the reason why I thought it was pretty interesting is because this is something that we see and hear about going on here quite often. And I think what people need to do is that people need to pay close attention to this. Like I said, the Democrats use individuals who do stuff like this to attempt to gain political power. Now, my question for you guys is, where do y'all think that they learn those tricks of doing stuff like this from? Where did they get those techniques? Who showed them how to do that? Who taught them how to do that? Who advised them to do that? You know what I'm saying? Where did this come from? Where did they get this from? And now here's the even better question. How do you detect it and how do you stop it? Shout out to my man Lloyd Scott 9. And if you guys agree with John Guillory, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Let me ask you guys this question. Should George Santos be on this list? So this is an article from BBC, and it says why Buffy Sainte-Marie's pretendian case strikes a nerve. Prominent figures in North America have faced allegations in recent years of lying about being indigenous, but none have touched a nerve quite like the recent allegations about Buffy Sainte-Marie, an Oscar-winning folk singer long celebrated as a quote-unquote indigenous icon. Now, that's interesting. She's gone out the window so much that she's identified as a quote-unquote indigenous icon. You know what I'm saying? When playwright Drew Hayden Taylor learned that questions were swirling about Buffy Sainte-Marie's indigenous ancestry, his jaw literally dropped. Mr. Taylor from Curve Lake First Nation is a longtime fan of the singer, known for songs like Until It's Time for You to Go and the anti-war anthem Universal Soldier. I just thought this must be some hatchet job. There's absolutely no way that Buffy Sainte-Marie could be a pretendian, he said, using the term used to describe people who feign indigenous ancestry. Now, here's my question. He said that there's no way that this could be a possibility. Now, here's my question. Why is it that he would assume that there's no way that this could be a possibility? Oh, this just can't be true. This just can't be real. There's no possible way. Here's my question. Why not? Why can't it be true? Why are we just assuming that this isn't true? You know what I'm saying? Rumors had been swirling about an investigation into the 82-year-old singer's background by the CBC's long-running documentary series, The Fifth Estate. In late October, the Canadian broadcaster finally aired its bombshell piece. The allegations were shocking to many of her fans who long regarded her as an icon and trailblazer for Canada's Indigenous peoples. She is the first Indigenous person, allegedly, to win an Academy Award, had a 5-year stint on the children's show Sesame Street, where she explained Cree identity to its young viewers, and in her 60-year career earned a loyal fan base across North America. She is also credited with raising the profile of indigenous issues on the continent and speaking out about colonial oppression, which is interesting because what she's doing is a form of that, but that's neither here nor there, which once got her blacklisted from radio stations in the United States. Why would that get her blacklisted from radio stations in the United States? Now let's ask this question about our country, the United States. Why would this get her blacklisted from the United States? Yeah, that's exactly what I said. Shout out to Shamika Gray. Obama is an imposter too. We're surrounded, and that's one of the reasons why, if you ask me, these kind of stories are so important to pay very close attention to. And the reason why I feel that these stories are so important to pay attention to is because many of these people do this kind of stuff for nefarious reasons, and in their process of doing this can cause a lot of harm. They can also cause a lot of stagnation, and they can also create situations that cause false representation. And if you ask me, dealing with people like this is one tactic that can be used to, as Professor Black Truth says, derange internal politics. Which, if you ask me, our politics are deranged, and we're now in the stage of underranging them. But in order to be able to successfully underrange them and maintain a state of non-derangement, we have to understand the process of what caused the derangement in the first place. And one of the things that can contribute to the derangement is people who do things like this that have a nefarious motive for doing it. Shout out to my man Black Star Racer. What's good with it? Would you guys agree? So the investigation raised complex questions about indigenous roots, feelings from pain to betrayal, shock, and dismay among her indigenous fans in Canada. She's basically been invested in the indigenous community for 60 years, Mr. Taylor said. It's like a personal friend, a member of the family, turning on you. Sainte-Marie's website says she is believed to be born on the Piapot First Nation Reserve in Saskatchewan, and she was adopted by a white American couple as a baby. Now, here's my question. Does the Piapot First Nation Reserve have any records about her being there or any records about her birth? That would be one of my first questions. Shout out to DeAndre. What's good with it, bro? That would be my first questions. The actual paperwork, right? Do we know if any documentation verifying her whereabouts, verifying her affiliation with the tribe, is any of that stuff in existence? That would be one of the questions that I would be curious to know the answer to. She said she was a survivor of Canada's 60s scoop, when thousands of indigenous children were forcibly removed from their families between the 1950s and the 1980s and placed in foster care or adopted by a non-indigenous family as a form of assimilation. Now, here's a reason why people have an identity issue. How many people knew that took place in Canada? You don't hear that talked about very often. I'm going to read this again. She said that she was a survivor of Canada's 60s scoop. Okay, so there was an event or a time period that took place in Canada, and it was called the 60s scoop. And in that time period, thousands of indigenous children were forcibly removed from their families between the 1950s and 1980s. Forcibly removed from their families. Why? And placed in foster care or adopted by non-indigenous family as a form of assimilation. Imagine this. You're on the place, you're on your own indigenous land, and you get your children taken for them to be assimilated by people who aren't from there. Imagine that. Remember, though, these people did nothing wrong ever, and it's just our imagination. Now, mind you, this is what they were doing to indigenous people in Canada. Sounds very familiar. Shout out to Toya. Toya says, call them stolen people. Yeah, facts. So now here it says that adoption claim is central to CBC's investigation, which reported that Sainte-Marie has a birth certificate in Stoneham, Massachusetts. So now here's my question. How do you end up getting a birth certificate in Stoneham, Massachusetts if you were born on an Indian tribe in Canada? Wait a minute. We got to iron out that detail first. What I need everybody to tell me is, how is that physically and humanly possible? How is that possible? The document allegedly indicates that Sainte-Marie, whose full name on the certificate is Beverly Jean Santamaria, was born to Albert, who is an Italian American, and Winifred Santamaria, whose parents had mostly English ancestry. Okay. Sainte-Marie is one of the most prominent indigenous figures to have their identity questioned. Other influential Canadian and U.S. academics, artists, and judges have faced accusations they falsely claim to be indigenous in recent years. And again, Elizabeth Warren is one of them. If you ask me, as a result of what Elizabeth Warren did with her identity, I don't think that she should be able to serve in the government anymore. I mean, like that, you kind of did some double agent stuff. You know what I mean? You kind of did some double agent stuff. To me, that's extremely, extremely, extremely suspect. Also, if you ask me, that's extremely, extremely, extremely risky. And if you ask me, that's not the kind of risk that I'm willing to take as far as dealing with the integrity of a politician. Because what that shows is that that politician has no integrity, and that politician will lie to get to a unearned position, which means that that politician has a likelihood of possibly not being as qualified as they need to be in order to do the job that they're seated in. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, last year, CBC raised questions about the indigenous ancestry of Mary Ellen Turple LaFond, a judge considered to be one of the most accomplished and decorated indigenous scholars in Canadian history. The allegations led to her recently returning her Order of Canada, the country's highest civilian honor. So now what does that mean? They must have found out something about her. They must have found out something about her that didn't sound or look too good. And the Sisters of Sacheen Littlefeather, an actress and activist best known for accepting a 1973 Academy Award in the place of the Godfather's Marlon Brando and using the platform to advocate for indigenous rights, said after her death that she was not indigenous at all. So, like, she lied about her entire identity until she died. This lady right here, Sacheen Littlefeather. She lied about her whole identity. Let me ask you guys a question. How many of you all would trust somebody who lied about their identity? If you all would trust somebody that lied about their identity, give me a thumbs up. If you would not trust somebody that lied about their identity, then give me a thumbs down. What's the benefit in lying about your identity? Sainte-Marie's story also includes another layer. In the early 1960s, she was connected with a couple from Piapot First Nation in Saskatchewan who eventually adopted her as her own. So now remember, in the last article that we read, it said in the 1960s. In that last article, it said that the age range that she was in when she was adopted was in her 20s. So again, since this is brought back up, I'm going to ask this question again. How does one get adopted in their 20s and get adopted in their 20s to do what exactly? And another question that I have is, how does an adoption change your DNA? Is there anyone who knows how an adoption can change your DNA? Because I don't. So I'm just curious as to how that will work. The couple's granddaughter, Tanis Piapot, told Global News that the adoption process took several years and was done in Cree custom. A statement by the family dismissed the CBC's investigation and affirmed that sainte-marie is a beloved member of the community. No one, including Canada and its government, the Indigenous Act, institutions, or media, or any person anywhere, can deny our family's inherent right to determine who is a member of our family and community, the family member said. Now, here's the thing, right? Being invited to the barbecue, hanging around with, being allies, partners, and friends with a certain particular community, that's completely different from saying that you're a genetic part of the community. Would you guys agree? That's not the same thing. But they're trying to make it like it is to get people to leave this topic alone. You know what I'm saying? In her own response to the allegation, Sainte-Marie says that it has been painful to now be questioned about her identity. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's painful. Are the questions? What are the answers to the questions, lady? Like, let's get the answers popping off here. If you're who you are, there shouldn't be anything painful about your identity. You know what I'm saying? What I've always been honest about is that I don't know where I'm from or who my birth parents were, she said. Now, here goes the thing, right? That's only one thing. And she specifically says this is what she's been honest about. So what about all of that other questionable stuff that we identified? Like, we didn't ask you about the one thing that you've been honest about. We asked you about all of the sketchy stuff that we don't know if it's true or not. That's the stuff that we asked you about. So now let me ask you guys this question. When people answer questions in this particular fashion, what does that tell you? Because there's a reason why she answered this question like this. There's a reason. What does her answer to the question imply? That's my question. Sainte-Marie has said that she has always struggled to answer questions about who I am. It doesn't seem like she struggled to answer questions at all. Honestly, what it seems like to me is that she had pre-planned, complicated responses already lined up that she gave, that when they're lined up and investigated, they don't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? They don't make any sense. And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to my man Kid Gravity. If you guys are not subscribed to him or Torian, make sure you guys take a moment and subscribe to him and Torian's channels. Also, make sure you guys subscribe to my man AB Promotions channel as well. Make sure y'all throw some radiation emoji in the chat and show some love to my man Kid Gravity for 9 months of membership support. And also, shout out to Torian Rain for 9 months of membership support. Throw those radiation emojis and flames in the chat. Definitely appreciate it. Look at this. Sainte-Marie has said that she had always struggled to answer questions about who I am and that she had instructed her lawyer in the past to discover information about her background. Okay, so now here's my question. What information was discovered about her background? What information? Do we have a report compiled by this lawyer about her background? You know what I'm saying? Like, is that a thing? Is that there? She said that her growing up mother had told her many things, including that I was adopted and that I was native, but there was no documentation. But no documentation was common for indigenous people born in 1940s. I may not know where I was born, but I know who I am, she said. I'm sorry, ma'am, but you do know where you're born. Your birth certificate can be found, and there's only one group of people in the United States who can make the claim that, quote unquote, they don't know where they were born or they don't know who they are. And it doesn't happen to be you. They happen to be people like Kyrie Irving. Still, many, like Michelle Syka, a freelance indigenous journalist from Muskeg Lake First Nation, believe that the information put forward by the CBC is very convincing. I believe that it's very convincing as well. Exactly, Torian. I agree. I agree 100%. If you guys agree with Torian, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Torian says she's lying right there, claiming to know who she is while out here perpetrating a whole fraud. Facts. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Facts. You know what I'm saying? But she said it overlooked complicated aspects of indigenous ancestry or identity, including sainte-marie's adoption and how that factors into her indigenous indigeneity. Is that indigeneity? As well as skepticism raised around the authenticity of her American birth certificate. Why is it that when a lot of these people get questioned, we all of a sudden don't know whether the birth certificate is authentic or not? The Bureau of Vital Statistics and the Social Security Administration and all of these places that produce these identifying documents, they not only do multiple checks, they have multiple records and a check and balance system in the database to make sure that all the documents are authenticated. And they also use paper that these things are printed on that have markers in it to where you can tell if these things have been doctored or if these things have been duplicated. So now why is it that when it comes to assessing stuff like this, all of a sudden we don't know whether the documents are legitimate or not? It's not very difficult to see if it's legitimate or not. That's not difficult. Being indigenous is not just a biological detail, she said. It's not. It's a political affiliation. It's a matter of citizenship. How is being indigenous a political affiliation and a matter of citizenship? If you're like most of these people who were indigenous didn't even have a concept of citizenry because of them being indigenous with nobody else here. So how does that work? Y'all remember Arrested Development? That song Tennessee, Tennessee, Tennessee. I'm at that part right now. It's like, won't you help me? Won't you help me? Won't you help me understand? Because I don't understand this. You know what I'm saying? I feel like old boy on belly with the banana. I don't understand this shit. I don't understand this shit at all. You know what I'm saying? Thank goodness this news lady, these journalists dropped a dime on her. You know what I'm saying? I need to take my braids out and get my hair perm. And give me a banana and had a string hanging off my mouth. I don't understand this shit. I don't understand this shit at all. You know what I'm saying? Ms. Sika said that sainte-marie should still be held accountable if she has been deceptive about her identity, which, if you ask me, she clearly has, because there's multiple parts of the reporting that conflict with her story. There's multiple parts in here that conflict with her story. So now we should be able to lay the facts down next to the claims. And if the facts don't match the claims, we need to find the disparities between the facts and the claims. And we need to find out which is true versus which is false. Let me ask you guys this question right here. What group of people tends to commit this particular crime? All right, I'm finna drop a dime. Finna drop a dime on her. You know what I'm saying? We should respect the Piapot Nation and their laws, but it doesn't cancel out everything she has said when she was building a career, she said. It is important that we are able to unpack that nuance. Crystal Fafard, a lawyer from Yellow Quill First Nation and a founding member of the Indigenous Women's Collective in Canada, said finding Indigenous identity is a form of colonial violence, which I said the same thing. I didn't call it colonial violence, but I said that what she's doing is actually a form of what they were saying is colonialism. Essentially stealing somebody's land and stealing their home and stealing their resources and claiming claim to it is literally you trying to sit there and say that you're quote unquote indigenous to that land, basically, because whatever is on that land is the belongings and birthright of the indigenous people. So yeah, like I agree with that logic. Like that's absolutely a form of colonial violence. It's basically extortion, theft, fraud. You know what I'm saying? Colonialism itself is a taking. It is about taking. She literally said the same shit that I just said. It's about taking resources, land, culture, and language and children, she said. Now it's about taking identity. Yeah, a lot of these people identify with the land and the culture and the language, and of course, their children. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, throughout her career, sainte-marie has won various awards reserved for Indigenous musicians, including 4 of Canada's Indigenous Lifetime Achievement Awards. Mrs. Fafard's organization has called for sainte-marie's 2018 Canadian Juno Award for Indigenous Album of the Year to be rescinded. She and others have also called on sainte-marie to take a DNA test to give members of the indigenous community some closure. I don't see anything wrong with that as a requirement or a request. If you all agree with this request and feel that she should now have to take a DNA test, give me a thumbs up. If you all do not feel that she should have to take a DNA test, then give me a thumbs down. Yeah, shout out to my man Black Bitcoin Key. He knows about this. This is Canadian news. You know what I'm saying? Chilling with my homies in the sticks. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man. It's disturbing that she would allow us indigenous people to continue to battle it out, she said. Sainte-Marie is unlikely to be the last person to face false accusations of being a pretendian. One report suggests that those, look at this, one report suggests that those passing off as indigenous in Canada now number in the tens of thousands. How many people want to take a look at this report? If you all want to take a look at this report, give me a thumbs up. If y'all don't want to take a look at it, give me a thumbs down. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna make the decision for you guys. This report is long as hell. It's 86 pages. But I tell you what, though, we could take a quick look at it. We ain't gonna read all 86 pages though. We'll look at the table of contents and see what they're talking about. This is wild, man. This is a whole issue that they have in Canada. But we have this issue in the United States too. That is where Miss Sika hopes people now focus their attention. How does it keep happening? Why does it keep happening? That is what we need to figure out. I'm going to ask you guys those questions. How does this happen and why does it happen? 86 pages. Yeah, they've been busy up there. Shout out to my man Zip. I got you, bro. I'll text you when I get done with this stream. I got some phone issues popping off. But I got you though. I mean, it's funny that you in here, bro. I had actually texted you, I want to say like last week. Did you get my message? That was the last time my phone worked. Shout out to Black Bitcoin Key for the insight. He says, bro, we have tons of $5 Indians. Knew this since I was young. Last week. Okay, bet. That's what's good, bro. Okay, cool. Yeah, because my shit started having issues like maybe 2 or 3 days after I had texted you, and now my shit is just completely zonked out. So now here says Mr. Taylor, someone who has spent a small fortune on Sainte-Marie's records, said he will still try to enjoy her work, albeit differently. I still think she is a brilliant artist, he said. Every time I hear a song, now I go, yeah, that sounds kind of weird. And I enjoy it now more on an aesthetic level than on a cultural level. Probably because that individual is not a part of your culture. She's been lying. So now here goes my question for you guys. What do you all think should happen to somebody who does something like that? Should there be like criminal charges involved or fraud charges involved, or what should be done? So here's that report that I was telling you guys about. This is the one that's 86 pages. Indigenous identity fraud. Shout out to Mike Mellis John. What's good with it, bro? A report for the University of Saskatchewan. Hopefully I'm saying that right. So here's the table of contents. Terminology used in a report. Section 1, Indigenous identity fraud. What is an identity? Indigenous identity fraudsters. Who are the fraudsters? Encouraging indigenous identity. It's an old story. Why did they do it? Why don't we recognize indigenous identity fraud? Red flags. How to recognize indigenous identity fraud. Man, like they got a whole how to deal with this. This will be an interesting read. You guys want to check out a little bit of it? This is pretty interesting. Because if you ask me, honestly, I think that something like this should be developed not only to vet politicians, but to vet quote unquote representatives as well. Because if one of the problems that we have is vetting, I think that tools should be put in place that set up a standard protocol on how to identify and vet somebody. You know what I'm saying? Also to figure out motives of why they do it. Because if you know the motives of why they do it, if there's a we need to be able to do a risk assessment on situations that we have going where there's a high risk of attempted infiltration. And if there's a high risk of attempted infiltration, that could set up the situation where there would be a high risk of somebody trying to do this kind of thing. And we'd be able to predict this kind of stuff better. And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, we got 54 people watching. Shout out to y'all. And we got 48 likes. If everybody could take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit the bell or subscribed wherever you're watching from, please do that. And also share the stream to your social media. This is a report about individuals who falsely take on indigenous identity with the intention of gaining material benefits at USAC. The report was commissioned in June of 2022. The research and writing of this report took place during a time of tremendous change in the academy. Stories in the press about a famous writer, filmmaker, lawyer, and several academics, all with questionable indigenous identities, were appearing regularly. Calls for action from indigenous people had been mounting from all sectors, all demanding that institutions take steps to stem the tides of individuals who are claiming with questionable or no evidence an indigenous identity in order to gain access to jobs, money, awards, and prestige. I thought people didn't do this. I thought these hardworking people didn't do this. Now, let me ask you guys a question. What group of people do you think perpetuate this the most? And let me ask you another question. Do you all think that there's criminal charges attached to this? If you all think that there's criminal charges attached to this, give me a thumbs up. If y'all don't think that there's criminal charges attached to this, then give me a thumbs down. Several universities across Canada were beginning to examine their hiring practices for individuals who claimed indigenous identity. The past practice of self-identification combined with an honor system characterized by an absence of verification was virtually gone at most universities by the time the report was in its early drafts. Universities across the country set up internal indigenous advisory committees to determine best practices for moving forward. First Nations University called a virtual gathering in March of 2022 and subsequently produced a What Was Heard report. The FNU report contained important recommendations. Maury Sinclair, Chancellor of Queen's University, summed up the problem and urged inclusion of indigenous people when looking for solutions. You see how this individual urged for inclusion of indigenous people when looking for solutions? So now this is interesting, right? It says it's clear that self-identification of indigeneity no longer works. Self-declaration is an important part, but it is just the beginning. We must go beyond an honor system and include voices from indigenous communities across Turtle Island. So now they wanted to make sure that indigenous people were represented. It's a foreign concept to us to see what it looks like to have people identify or to have people advocate for you and want you being part of representing your own self-interest. That doesn't happen for us here in the United States. We have people that like to attempt to give the little that we have away or give custody of it to other people, which is one of the things that we have to stop doing. And then when it comes to finding out who it is that does these things, most of these people that do this aren't even FBA. Would you guys agree? So this is an interesting report, but it's 86 pages though. And as much as I would love to go over this report, ain't nobody got time for this. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link to this in the chat. No, not the chat here, but the Discord chat. So if you guys aren't part of Discord, take a moment, hit that link in the comment section and join Discord. And also, if you all have not done the notification survey that's pinned in the chat, please take a moment and do that. Okay. Please take a moment and do that. So I just dropped that report there into the Discord, okay? So this is interesting, right? There's this media outlet called The Conversation. How many people have ever heard of them? If you guys have ever heard of The Conversation, give me a thumbs up. If you guys haven't heard of The Conversation, give me a thumbs down. This is it right here. The Conversation, okay? And what they're going to ask in this article here is how journalists tell Buffy sainte-marie story matters, explained by a 60s scoop survivor. Now, this is interesting, right? My question for you all is, what do you think that they said? Because to me right here is blatantly obvious what this article is trying to do. Last week, a CBC investigation accused Buffy sainte-marie, the legendary singer-songwriter, of lying about her indigenous roots. I immediately knew it was a big story, one we journalists in the Canadian media would be called to cover, but I had a strong reaction. I didn't feel it was our story to cover. Now, let me ask you all this. Whose story would you all feel this is to cover? Who should be covering this story? Or who do you all feel should be covering this story? sainte-marie had already come out on social media ahead of the story and explained she had been, quote unquote, claimed by the Piapot Cree First Nation in Saskatchewan. Okay, but again, that right there does not change your DNA. There can be what's called a tribe membership, and then there's people who are racially and genetically born into the tribe, and are part of the racial group as well. You know what I mean? And from earlier conversations on the Don't Call Me Resilient podcast, as well as articles written by expert scholars about so-called pretendians, those faking indigenous identity, I knew kinship ties were maybe even more important than genealogy tests when it comes to establishing indigeneity. Man, that's a difficult word to say. But I disagree. I mean, like, my thing is, like, how can they make that claim? Saskatchewan. Good looking, Zip. Saskatchewan. That's a dangerous road to go down, to sit there and say that, kinship and friendship can give you instant access to being able to claim that you're part of a particular group. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I don't think I don't think that people should just be able to impose themselves onto other people's cultures and whatever else it is that they have going on. I don't think that that's right. I don't think that that's right at all. So now here it says kinship is based on who claims you, and based on Sainte-Marie's response, and also that of the Piapot nation, she's been claimed. Isn't that enough? And shouldn't we leave this retired 82-year-old alone? That was my first instinct, not to add fuel by covering the story. Why not? Why should this woman just get a pass? Why should this not be researched to capacity? I'm asking these questions. I'm just curious as to what you all think. Do you all agree with the logic of this article thus far? But when I heard from Lori Campbell, a two-spirit Cree Metis instructor and advocate who made me realize there's a conversation to be had about this story, she joined me on this week's Don't Call Me Resilient to explore the story from a social responsibility perspective, especially the responsibility of Canadian media. Now, when it comes to this particular story, what is the responsibility of Canadian media? I think that this should be talked about in American media as well. You know what I mean? Yeah, DeAndre. She asked whether Canadian media are telling this story in service of truth and reconciliation, or are they telling the story in a sensationalist way in service of furthering their careers? Okay, now my question is, what about Buffy? How about her telling her story of origin and identity? Is she doing that in a sensationalist way, or is she doing that to further her career? Like, really? Campbell is from Treaty 6 territory in northern. There's that word again. And a member of the Montreal Lake First Nation. She was taken away from her birth family and adopted into a rural white family in the 1960s. Again, this is according to her testimony, but the investigation that came out by the CBC shows completely different details. It doesn't support what this is saying. You know what I'm saying? And only reunited with her biological family decades later. And her family isn't supporting this story either. So now you have multiple sources not supporting Buffy's account. Now, my question for you all is, if multiple sources are not supporting Buffy's account, what does that probably indicate about Buffy's account? That's my question. She is currently the vice president of Indigenous engagement at University of Regina. She's also a PhD candidate in social justice education at the Ontario Institute for Studies in Education at the University of Toronto. Campbell is also a member of the board of the Conversation Canada. Okay. So that's the journalist that did this. And she also talked about this on that podcast. So now here is full access right here. I'm going to shoot you guys this link into the chat. Okay. So if you guys are interested in looking at this, you can look at it. You know what I'm saying? I'll put this into the Discord as well. All right. I want to show you guys what this looks like real quick. So that's her right there. Okay. Who is the real Buffy Sainte-Marie? Buffy Sainte-Marie's claims to indigenous ancestry are being contradicted by members of the iconic singer-songwriter's own family and an extensive CBC investigation. What benefit would her family have from contradicting her claims is my question to you guys. That's my question. Okay. So yeah, this is pretty long. So we're gonna run through here. Show you guys all. Now here's the birth certificate, right? A birth certificate comes to light. Those birth certificates are always causing people who had these identity issues problems. The birth certificate receipts are always causing somebody some problems. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says a simple Google search shows that virtually every available source says that Sainte-Marie was born on the Piapot First Nation in Saskatchewan. But that was contradicted late last year when a tipster provided CBC with a copy of what appeared to be Sainte-Marie's birth certificate. Obtained from a small town hall in Massachusetts. That record said Beverly Jean Santa Maria, who started going by the name Buffy Sainte-Marie early in her music career, was born in 1941 in Stoneham, Massachusetts, north of Boston, albeit to Albert and Winifred Santa Maria. The couple Sainte-Marie claimed adopted her. Now, I'm curious as to what her relationship was with her parents. Right. Uh-oh, Richard. Richard. We got some stuff that doesn't make sense. Hey, guys, this is Gilbert Gottfried here, and we've come up with some information that doesn't make any sense. I'm trying to figure all this stuff out. And if I squinted my eyes any harder, I could squeeze lemonade out of them. You know what I'm saying? So now what this birth certificate says is something that we're not surprised of. You guys can see it right there. We got it highlighted. Mother, father, and baby were all listed as white. Okay. They were all listed as white. So now there should be a way that they can verify the authenticity of this birth certificate. How many people have ever had to verify the authenticity of any kind of identification? If that's something that you've had to do, give me a thumbs up. If it's not something that you've had to do, give me a thumbs down. It's pretty easy. In most cases, all you got to do is just go to the BMV, or you can go to the Bureau of Vital Statistics. Or you can have it examined by an expert. You know what I'm saying? So this article here that goes into great detail about this particular situation. Sorry about that, guys. Is definitely now available for you all to check out in the Discord. I put it in the chat in the comment section here for, you know, people that are not part of the Discord. Hopefully everybody becomes part of the Discord by hitting that link. A lot of times the Discord is better than the YouTube videos, but if y'all, you know, I'll let y'all find that out on y'all own. But I think that that's something that people should pay very close attention to. And literally every single case of this kind of thing occurring, if you ask me, it is absolutely crucial for this kind of stuff to be logged. And the reason why this kind of stuff needs to be logged, because with people going hard for reparations, there's going to be a lot of this kind of stuff happening. There's going to be a lot of this kind of stuff happening. And people need to be able to know how to detect it. And not only do people need to know how to be able to detect it, they need to be able to know how to deal with it effectively. Because this is how you get stuff hijacked. And even as thoroughly as an individual may try to, quote unquote, safeguard the culture, if you don't have security protocols built in to deal with situations like this, that's going to make that safeguarding that much more of a challenge. You know what I'm saying? So, ladies and gentlemen, players and pimps, I appreciate each and every one of you all for being here. If you have not smashed the like button yet, please smash that like button. We got to try to keep over 100 likes on Black Light Revelations 1. We are now at the point where we are going to be going for 200 likes each video. So smash that like button. We got 46 people watching. We got 59 likes. Everybody bang on the like button. Everybody share it to a friend so that they can like it and help us get to that 100. Real quick, I want to shout out the members and the stream sponsors. Shout out to my man AB Promotions with the $1.99 ducket. You know what I'm saying? Definitely appreciate it. Throw him some flames and radiation in the chat. My man Kid Gravity with the 9 months of membership support. Shout out to him. Definitely appreciate that. And shout out to my man Torian Rain for the membership and the 9 months of support. I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? Because of you guys, y'all make the platform better. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, as always,
life. Yeah, I'm really talking my shit life. I'm really him, hold up. Look, walking this bitch like, hey. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, hey. I'm really him. Don't believe me, come and see me. Got 3 wishes from my genie. Now I'm on your local TV. Y'all on tour, got demons. Say she wanna come and see me when I'm in a local city. I'm like, pause though. Please step aside so they can see me. And I walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him, on God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him, I'm the realest from my city. That's on money, that's on TV, that's on mamas. Niggas don't believe me, come and see me. I been dodging all that face. All these niggas working broke, but I been getting paid. All that know me from the street. Flexing for a feature, that's like every other week. Talk behind my back, I kick my feet up, have a seat. Cause at the end of the day, all these watching me as I walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him, on God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him, on God. in this life. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. Hold up. Look, walking this life. Hey. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, hey. I'm really him. Hold up.